Welcome back to Laura's World. This is going to be really fun today. I met somebody else in this recovery world of ours, and I just love this community. We're going to be talking to a gentleman. His name is Martin. He's from Las Vegas, and he has his own line of clothing and a lot more. So I'm really excited. He's here already, and let's talk to him. It is so nice to finally meet you in person. This is great.
Yeah.
Martin, I just have to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. I so appreciate it.
Oh my
And
gosh. Thank you for asking. It's been a while since I've actually done one of these. So
yesterday when I sent you a text message, you typed out this thing and you were like, yes, Las Vegas, Sin City, the birth and the death of my addiction. And I was like, whoa, whoa. So tell me about the birth and the death of your addiction.
so I pretty much grew up pretty like normal. You know, my parents were super strict. My dad was in the military, very religious.
Mhm.
So I mean, and plus, you know, being culturally born in the Philippines, both my parents are from the Philippines. So it was like strict, like super strict. So I had a pretty normal childhood. And then in my teens, I figured my teens was like my teen years was like this pretty much similar to normal adolescence. You know, me and my friends would like maybe sneak some beer or whatever out of the parents' fridge or whatever, or liquor out of the liquor cabinet on the weekends when nobody was home or whatever, or snuck a cigarette from like parents' cigarette packs when they weren't around. And that was the extent of it. We never done drugs. I grew up in the '80s. You know, dare to say no to drugs. So like the philosophy in my house was alcohol and cigarettes were for adults, and say no to drugs. That's how I grew up.
Okay.
So in my 20s, shortly after I turned 21, I went out to Vegas for the first time as an adult, and immediately fell in love with it. Like immediately. We were out here for a week, me and my friends, and we had the casinos and the clubs and the bars and the strip clubs, and dude, fell in love. So I decided to stay another week, and one of my friends, stayed out there with me, and everybody else went back. And I started looking for a job and turned in a bunch of applications, had a couple of interviews. And after the week was up, I went back to Long Beach, got the phone call the following Monday saying, hey, we have a job opening for you. If you're interested, when can you start? I go, well, I got to put in my notice. So I put in my 2 weeks notice, like literally after I got back from vacation.
Wow.
Yeah, so I moved out here, and it was on from there. It started like right away. I started going to the casinos and playing blackjack like
Okay.
almost every night. And that's where it started. Like I got hooked to blackjack. I was playing blackjack every night. And of course, being in a casino and gambling, alcohol and cigarettes, came shortly after, like easily. And I did that for years. For years. I mean, I'd get off work, I'd go to the casino. Depends on how much I won or lost. I'd be there for maybe a couple hours, or sometimes I'm there all friggin' night. Then I'd be like, okay, well, I got to go to work. So I'd leave the casino and go straight to work. That to me was the way I see it. A sleeping giant basically woke up in my head, and that was the birth, like literally the birth of my addiction right there. So a few years I did that. The marriage that I was currently in fell apart. Met a new girl. We got married on a whim for a couple of years. That fell apart. And then I started hitting the nightlife scene like, pretty hard.
Okay.
Going to clubs, going to bars, and
Searching for something, Martin?
yeah,
Yeah.
something new, something different. I kind of got tired of the gambling scene, or hanging out in the casinos and whatnot, because it's not like I'm able to pick up girls or whatever, sitting at a blackjack table. And so yeah, so I just tried something new. I go, hey, my marriage is over. I'm gonna go dating again. And so I started going to clubs, started hitting bars, and I had a really good friend of mine that introduced me to a couple of clubs that I've never been to before. One weekend, my brother was out here, and we had some friends out here that we were partying with at the House of Blues, and it was a concert that we stayed for, and then shortly after the concert all turned into a nightclub. And so we were just chilling there, hanging out. And some of our friends met us there that didn't want to go to the concert, but wanted to come to the club. And, we were just hanging out, and people started coming in, DJs started playing some music. And, our friends were like, hey, you guys ready to turn this up a notch? And started handing out these kettles. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'll just have my beer. And I'm gonna find out he was handing out ecstasy. And I'm like looking at my brother, and my brother's looking at me, and I'm shaking my head no. And he's like, okay, all right, whatever. And then I think probably like 10, 15 minutes later, he pulled me aside. He was like, hey, I've done this before. It's not a big deal. It just makes you feel, like this, and you feel really good and like floaty and like tingly, and it's not a big deal. If you want, I'll split one with you, and that way it's not in your system that long. And if you don't like it, then no harm.
Okay.
So that was the first time I've ever done anything like drugs wise.
Okay.
So I just popped the pill and downed it with my beer, and a half hour later, I think that's when the whole world kind of just opened up to me. I mean, I can still remember it. Like it was crazy, like the feeling of euphoria and all that. And I think from there, everything just went on this like super crazy roller coaster ride. For the next 4 months, I was just like hitting the clubs every night. Me and my friends started, getting hooked up with other drugs, and I was trying pretty much anything and everything for the next 4 months. And then 4 months later, I got busted. I was like dealing to a friend who was dealing to his roommate, who was dealing to an undercover cop, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. So so I ended up going to jail. So I spent 13 days in jail. Happened to be like on some 3-day weekend, so like I couldn't get to see the judge or nothing. And then finally, when I did get to see the judge, they said they were just going to keep me in there because they couldn't verify who I was. I didn't have any roommates. I was self-employed, so they couldn't confirm like where I worked. And then, so the girlfriend that I was with at the time, which I was surprised because we've only been together like 4 months. Her mom and her dad like started making phone calls, and like next thing you know, like I have an attorney, and the judge that was seeing me happened to be my girlfriend's cousin's godfather. So I was looking at 10 years because I sold this guy 100 pills of ecstasy, and I was looking at 10 years minimum, right? And so I ended up getting 2 years probation, a year of drug counseling, and time served, and misdemeanor.
Holy
Right.
But talk about people coming into your life for a reason, Martin.
Yeah.
Did that do it for you? Did you say that to yourself, like, okay, great, I got out of this, so I'm going to stop all of this? And he's like,
no.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no, I know. Oh,
that was
damn.
just the beginning.
Wow.
I mean, this is back in 2000.
Okay.
And so I did a year of drug counseling. Meanwhile, as I'm going to drug counseling, I didn't stop using. I still continued. I'm still getting loaded, still drinking. I did check in with my probation officer. I seem to be passing, so I'm okay, right? So I did a year of drug counseling, went back to court, and probation got dropped from 2 years to time served, and my misdemeanor got dropped down to a gross misdemeanor. And when that happened, what did I do? I celebrated by going out with my friends and literally disappeared for like 4 or 5 days. Like no one could find me. It was just a straight 5-day party with friends, just drinking and drugging.
Wow.
And I pretty much did that for a few years, 2000 to like 2004. That's all I did. I ended up getting a job because clearly I can't be a drug dealer. So I got a regular job. I'm a graphic artist by trade, so I just I applied at an ad agency, got the job, and everybody at the ad agency was using too. It was like, okay, this is a perfect place for me. So I guess
perfect,
I can use too. I guess it's how they get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, of course.
Smoke a little weed and drink some wine.
Yeah.
So I just fit right in, and I did that for years, partied on the weekends with friends, and hardcore party, like doing cocaine and like.
That was one of my favorites. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. did
Great.
all of that stuff. But so the girlfriend that I was with, we ended up getting married. We had a child, our first child, and this is in 2004. And then in 2005, I got into a really bad car accident, and it
Okay.
like screwed up my back and screwed up my neck. My wrist got all jacked up, and so I ended up having to go to the car got totaled. I ended up having to go to physical therapy, and then my doctor started me on pain management, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never done prescription pills.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started taking at the time Lortabs, Norcos. So I just started taking that and going to physical therapy, getting the whole massage and like adjustments and all that stuff. I did that for a couple of months, 2, maybe 3 months, when I started noticing I was having a hard time sleeping at night. I wasn't abusing them. I didn't know that I could at the time, but I wasn't abusing them at the time. I was taking them as prescribed. But I still did stuff on the weekends with friends, and
Yeah. Okay.
I was having a hard time sleeping. So I talked to my doctor about it, and he was like, well, yeah, that's pretty normal. So here, I'll give you this. He prescribed me Ambien. So I started taking Ambien in the evenings. So I did that for a couple of months. The crazy thing about Ambien is like there's times where I find myself like in the kitchen or out in the driveway. Like I don't even remember how I got there. So I did that for again another like maybe 2 months, and I took it regularly. And then as 2 months went on, I was like getting more like I just want to stay in bed. I don't want to get up, just feeling like bleh.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got worse and worse and worse. So even like going into work, I'm just like sitting there and I just can't get motivated and like lazy and just like nothing was helping. I was just kind of like in this fog.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I talked to my doctor about it, and
Here's another pill.
exactly. No,
Right.
really.
I
So
honestly, it's crazy.
yeah.
God, Martin, it is insane.
Well, yeah, he prescribes me. So I'm actually diagnosed ADHD as a young kid. I was prescribed Ritalin when I was young, but I never took it because my mom was totally against all that stuff. But I never took it and kind of just dealt with being ADHD. And so after telling my doctor this, he's like, "Well, here's Adderall. This will help you with the focus." And like, so I started taking Adderall, and that was great. I was like, "Whoa, man, this stuff is pretty cool." So yeah, I would take Adderall. I was prescribed to take it twice a day, and so I would take it in the morning, and then shortly after, like lunchish, and then I just like that uppity feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually started taking it more, like 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 times a day. And then I think another couple of months passed, and having a first panic attack at work. Never had a panic attack before. Thought I was dying. My heart was just like beating out of my chest. I was having a hard time breathing. I was getting all clammy. I was getting all tingly. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die."
Yeah.
I'm at
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
like trying to work, and I'm like freaking out. And my boss calls 911. Paramedics show up, and they wheel me out there on a gurney, and they have me hooked up to oxygen, and they're like running all these tests on me, blood pressure and all that stuff. And they're like talking to me, asking me questions. Have I taken anything? Have I did this or done that? And I prescription medication. So I just listed off what they were, and they were like, "Oh, well, that'll do it. How are you? I'd probably go back to your doctor, have a conversation with him about what happened today, maybe change up
The
your
combination.
medication."
Yeah.
And so I as soon as they left, I actually went straight to my doctor's office and just like told him what happened. And he was like, "Oh, no problem. That's common." And then he started me another pill.
Just
So now I have a prescription for Xanax. So about 7 to 8 months after my car accidents, again, never done prescription pills before. I'm taking painkillers, sleeping pills, ADHD medication, and now anti-anxiety medication. And then so I did that for a solid 13 years,
whoa.
2005 to 2018.
Holy sh!
Great. Yeah.
How are you still
And
here?
I often wonder that myself. And meanwhile, too, I mean, I was still like, on the weekends, we'd still hang out with friends. We'd go to bars, or we'd have friends come over, and we're like drinking wine, drinking beer. Every once in a while, party favorites came out, doing coke or smoking weed or whatever. Yeah, it was crazy.
What was that turning point?
I found out my wife was having an affair,
Okay.
and this was the second time that she did this. The first time I caught her in 2013, and we separated for a little bit. I had an accidental overdose. I ended up in the hospital, in the emergency room. Just woke up one morning in the emergency room, and the doctor was asking me if I was trying to harm myself, and I said no. And he was like, "You had an excessive amount of Ambien in your system." And I was like, "No, I wasn't trying to harm myself." I guess I must have been in like a dark space that night when I was taking pills or whatever, and I just happened to finish the rest of the bottle.
Okay.
So I got held for 72 hours. I was instructed to go see like a psychiatrist and all this stuff, and which I did, and then which led to like marriage counseling. So me and my wife went to marriage counseling, found out the problems were like me not being present because I'm always just on all these medications. You know, I'm there, but I'm not
But
like
you're not
really
there.
there. So we worked it out.
Okay.
2013, we worked it out. So we kept on going. I tried to stop. Oh my God, the withdrawal. Crazy. I think I lasted 2 days, maybe 3 days. And I was trying to like ease the withdrawals by taking like NyQuil, Dayquil, ibuprofen. I mean, whatever I can like ease the pain because I literally was like crawling out of my skin, right? And like my body ache and all that stuff. And then I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I just started sneaking pills again.
Mm.
So I was just like taking pills on the fly. And so that continued again for like the next 3 years because in 2016, I find out again she's having an affair. So that's when I was like, I'm done. We're done. You know, this is the second time we've done this. You go your way, we'll go my way, and we'll just do the whole co-parenting thing. So we were doing like this week on week off schedule, and my way of getting back at her was like, screw you, I'm gonna go and like relive my youth and just start clubbing again, partying again. I was hitting clubs and bars, and I was like pretty much hitting anything I can. Whoever was like, yeah, I'm game, let's go. Hooking up with anybody and everybody, and I dove deep into like my drugs. Like I started abusing all my pills. At this time, weed was legal in Vegas. I was going to the dispensaries and buying weed, and alcohol wasn't really my DOT, but I started drinking more. It just got crazier and crazier. It started like running out for work, coming in late, jobs would get all jacked up. My weeks when I'm supposed to have the kids, like I would like make excuses not to be able to pick them up. I would miss like soccer events and karate events. And yeah, one day I came home and my wife was we weren't divorced yet because we're still trying to figure out the divorce thing. We went into the master bedroom. The boys stayed out outside, and she tried to have a conversation with me, but her conversation is like just yelling at me and asking me all these questions. Are you on drugs? Are you doing this? Why this? Why that? And I'm just like, I just wanted to shut it off. Like, just shut up. Like, I want to get out of here. And just kept on going. And she was like standing in front of the door, like wouldn't let me out, wouldn't let me leave, and walk out the bedroom door, and my two boys are standing there, and 13 and 10 years old, both crying. And that just like, it was just like, oh, like like a dagger through the heart, right? And I was just, I didn't know what to say, I didn't know what to do. I just like darted out the front door, hopped on my motorcycle, and I just started driving. I didn't even know where I was going, just started driving. And I think that next 3 days is kind of like the turning point for me. Because like while I was driving, I was already feeling these like thoughts of like being a failure as a father, failure as a husband, failure, as a coworker, just failure at life in general. And I was like, I'm done. Like, what's the point? I was driving for about an hour, went back home. Everybody was gone. And I just loaded up my backpack with all the pills that I could find. And I checked into a local hotel and went to the gift shop, grabbed a couple bottles of whiskey, went up to the room, and I just laid everything out on the bed. And one by one, just started emptying the bottles in my hands and just started popping everything, one right after another.
Wow.
And, I pulled open the covers and I laid in bed, turned on the TV, and must have just passed out. And I wake up the next morning, 6:04 a.m. I wake up. Oh, what the hell? What am I'm like, I was expected to be dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like I was like, crap, I'm out of everything that I wanted to take. And I was like starting to trip. So like I log on my phone and I go on the Craigslist and like just started rolling through Craigslist and I found this guy who was a dealer and I like found a couple of keywords in his description.
Hmm.
So I met with him at another casino. He sold me a ball of crystal, half a ball of coke, and a couple of mollies. And I went back to the hotel room and same thing. Uh,
You were determined to finish it this time.
I was determined. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing.
Yeah.
I had no cry for help, nothing. I was like blinders on. I'm doing this. I'm done. Goodbye,
Yeah.
world. Right.
Yeah.
Same thing. I just went into the room and I just started opening the baggies and just like dumping it in my hand and just downing it with whiskey under the covers. Turn on the TV, and again, same thing. Wake up the next morning. This time it was little after 11:30, I think it was. And honestly, don't remember too much what happened that day, the third day. But I do remember when I woke up, I was covered in blood, dried blood on the side of my face, my neck, my shirt, on the sheet. But I don't remember the rest of the day because I think all I did was I just started drinking. I just started drinking. Because the very next morning, I found myself on the bathroom floor and there was a pocket knife in my right hand and I had a half-inch gash on my left wrist. And I was like stumbling to get up a little bit and I noticed the bathtub was like full and I'm like looking at myself in the mirror and I was just like, what the hell? What the hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing to my boys? Was the first like, thought that popped into my head. And that's the first time I've thought of somebody else other than myself in a long time. And so I'm just like looking at myself and I'm like, I got to get out of here. Grabbed my backpack, checked out, went home, and called my wife. I told her, hey, I'm home. She rushed over real quick. Didn't really ask how I was doing, just basically the same stuff from previous nights before, like, what the hell? Where have you been? There's a
Right.
missing person report out on you. And I was just like, I'm hung the over. Like, I'm just like, shut up. I'm like trying to cover myself up with a blanket and trying to ignore her. She ends up calling her sister, who I work with, the same company, and we've become really good friends because we work together. And so her sister comes over and basically takes her out of the room and calms her down and says, hey, let me go talk to him. So she comes into the room and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And I kind of told her a little bit of what's going on, and she's like, well, once you contact work, they have an employee assistant program, and kind of go from there. Maybe they can direct you someplace. So that's what I did. I called work, kind of told them what was going on, and they gave me 3 numbers to a treatment center, and I started calling. The first one I called was an answering machine, which I thought was kind of weird. So, I mean, of course, I didn't leave a message. I was like, okay, well, hang that up, call the next one, no answer. And then the third one, this lady picks up, and I kid you not, I can still hear her voice in my head. Her name is Whitney. He talked to me for like, an hour, 45 minutes, just asking me how I'm doing, how am I feeling, what did I just go through the past couple of days? And she was like, we'll take you in right now. And um, so I was like, well, I haven't seen my kids in a few days. I don't know how long I'm going to be in there. Let me just hang out with them this evening, and then I'm in tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. So I talked to my sister-in-law and my wife. Said, hey, I'm going to go get myself in the treatment tomorrow. Let me hang out with the boys tonight, watch a movie, dinner, and then maybe just go to bed. So that's what we did. My sister-in-law, my wife brought the kids over, and they left. We made dinner, watched a couple movies, hung out for a little bit, and then went to bed. Next morning, my wife came back and helped me panic, and she took me to the treatment center, and I checked in.
What day was that?
It was May 10th, 2018.
And you never looked back?
I never looked back.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about Serenities. How did that come about for you?
First of all, my fiance was like, well, you're a graphic artist. Why don't you just make your own shirt? So that's how that was born.
That's
So
awesome.
I started making a couple of shirts. I did a Clean AF shirt, Oak Dealer shirt,
Mhm.
and a couple of other ones. And we started wearing them to the meetings. And like all of our friends that we went to meetings with were like, oh my gosh, those are cool shirts. Where do we get those from? So I ended up putting a website together
Nice.
and made it available to our friends. And so we kind of got like this cult following here in Vegas. And then, yeah, when the pandemic hit, we were pretty much locked down. So I was like, well, how can we bring, serenities to the masses? And so we started looking around, found the Instagram community, and just started befriending people and started talking to people. And that's pretty much how Serenities kind of blew up, was just word of mouth and just being present with everybody. And it's crazy because like I started on Instagram with the hopes of like blowing up Serenities and like getting the shirts into people's hands and making a lot of sales, but it became more than that.
I love that
Yeah.
sense of community. It's not
Yeah.
just about you, again, stepping out of, yourself and just really, truly, truly wanting to help people. And
Yeah.
that's why I love your page so much, because you're
Yeah.
always giving shout outs to other people. And
Oh yeah.
it's fantastic. And like I said, I know I said this before, I just got this extra shot of sobriety, meeting people like you and what you do for the community. And it's been amazing. It's just
Yeah.
been amazing. We do recover. It's not shameful. We're here to help each other out. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Martin, it has been such a pleasure. You're a very humble guy. I loved your story. Continue shouting it out there. Continue doing the work that you're doing in the recovery community. And I don't know if there's anything I can do, but if there is anything I can do, please don't hesitate to reach out. Honestly,
Oh, you're already doing it. I mean, you're pushing the message of hope. That recovery is possible, and
It is.
We do recover.
We do recover.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy
Yes.
the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you again.
Thanks, Martin.
All right.
Bye
Bye.
now.